2020 is my third release. I wanted to go in a totally different direction than from my last two releases, which was more of a folk sound. And I went in the opposite direction and went back to my rock roots in popular music. I was writing all this music for the span of about 3 years, about a song a day. And I was really inspired by all kinds of music, whether it was on top 40 pop radio or old classic rock and roll or jazz or opera. And I took all those experiences that I've had in the past and brought it back to what makes me unique and what makes my music unique. And I chose my favorite 5 and what I believed what the audience's favorite 5 was as well. I Hate It is about a friend of mine who was basically a walking contradiction, and it was really infuriating to watch somebody who talked the talk but not walk the walk. And I was constantly in this state of drama and the state of suspense of wondering what was going to happen or what the next opinion would be or point of view and how it would impact me musically, because my friend actually didn't like my music and it really hurt. Burnout was written in my parents' house on a piano that we've had in our family for a very long time. It was when I started going from guitar to piano, and I wanted to get into this very sentimental place of myself that I very rarely dive into just because of that fear of vulnerability. And I wrote it about basically this ideology that I write a lot of songs about my friends, and so they were about to graduate college, and graduating anywhere is really scary to see the real world, but what makes it even more frightening on another level is when you have to go off to war or to a different foreign country and serve the country. And so I wanted to take those feelings and show it in my perspective about it. New York City was written about, I was going on tour with my first band since I was a teenager, and we were driving up from Nashville, Tennessee, all the way to New York City, and I heard for about 15 hours more because we took stops. So probably 20 hours each way, my friend complaining about New York. And I mimicked his voice to just demonstrate how annoying it was. I had a blogger tuned up say to me, like, this song, I just didn't like it. And then when I heard it with a full band, I was just in awe and enamored with it. And I was like, well, yeah, you were supposed to find it annoying because you're supposed to understand how I felt when I was in the car sitting with this person going, I hate New York, no, 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 no. I started songwriting when I was 9 years old. I played cello, guitar, and piano. I dabbled in flute, and I was dabbling in trumpet, but I learned I am a terrible trumpet player. So I've had some really great collaborations, like with my friend Travis Bolin, who has a #1 blues album on iTunes. I'm originally from Long Island, New York. I was living in London for a while, and when I came back, I was really sad. Like, I was really depressed, and I wouldn't get out of bed. And I just didn't feel like there was a purpose for me in New York to be there anymore. I felt like I was creatively out of touch with myself, and felt my feelings and my emotions and my logic just weren't making sense. So I came down to a songwriting retreat that I heard about from NSAI, and which is National Songwriters Association International. So I came to Nashville. I was there for overnight, and I decided the next following week that I was moving here. So I lived in Nashville ever since. Part of why I wanted to become an artist was because of this love I have also for traveling and immersing myself into other cultures and other experiences. And so when I realized that I wanted to perform, I started to ask my booking agent for places based on the kinds of foods that I like. And so it has taken me to Texas, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, and New York. So the most exciting moment of my career is 2 parts. So one is press, which is when Digital Journal named me top 5 female vocalists. And then my other one was when I went to New Bern, and it was so packed they actually had to turn people away. It was the first sold-out show I've ever had, and I mean, people had no idea who I was, but they started hearing things and looked me up online, and all of a sudden it was like filled and people were dancing and laughing, and it was just so exciting. And like, I would just pull people up on stage with me. People would be dancing with me, and it was just so much fun. And then also my EP release party was an incredible experience. I got to partner with Pass the Beauty, who's a domestic violence organization in East Nashville, and that was really cool. And I got to show my EP from start to finish. I played it as the record, and it was amazing, like packed house, and just all my friends showed up, and it was just amazing. Education is something I'm super passionate about, obviously, as it came from my grandmother, who was always like, get a college education, get good grades. My grandma was my best friend, and the day after my grandmother passed away, I was calling all her friends, and they were saying that they were sending flowers. And my grandma loved flowers, but I just felt like flowers die, and they don't leave the legacy of her behind. And someone asked me, what charity are you gonna do? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. I mean, my Oma was, I call her Oma, but my grandma was all about charity, and she had this amazing heart and this just heart of gold, and she gave money to everything, but she was specifically very passionate about education and the equity in education. And so immediately when I realized this, I called a friend of mine and I asked her, she was the director of magnet schools at Metro Nashville Public Schools, and I said, hey, do you know any partnerships that I can create to make this scholarship? And she told me about Magnet Schools of America. So in April of 2019, we will be giving a scholarship, $1,000 increments, and it will be going to the kids who have overcome some obstacles, whether it was financially, economically, or socially, in Baltimore. And we so far have gotten 7 students scholarships. You can find me on my website, www.salinasolomon.com, as well as Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, Tidal, all the streaming services basically. And you can also, if you are like, you want to test Shazam's knowledge, if you want to be like, who is this playing? If you're have the radio on or something, they'll let you know that it's my song. And you can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Don't be afraid to reach out.